Two brothers in California had a goal: make $1 million before turning 50. By 1961, they'd sold their small burger stand to a franchising agent for $2.7 million. That agent, Ray Kroc, then faced a choice that would turn a fast food chain into something else entirely. The story we know is simple. Aggressive businessman buys out creators, scales the brand, becomes a giant. But that $2.7 million check isn't the most important number in this story. The real transformation wasn't about what Kroc bought from the brothers. It was about what he built with the man he hired to save him. To understand the trap Kroc was in, you have to go back to 1948. The brothers weren't just selling burgers. They had engineered a system. They fired 20 car hops, ditched plates and silverware for paper, and cut their menu to 9 items. Speed and volume over everything. This speedy service system wasn't a revolution. It was a brilliant refinement of existing fast food principles. But it was a system built for profit on thin margins, not for empire. By the time Ray Kroc became their franchise agent in 1955, that model was hitting a wall. Here's the core problem nobody talks about. Franchising burgers is capital intensive, but the profit per burger is razor thin. Kroc's growth engine needed fuel, and franchise fees weren't enough. He was expanding rapidly, but he was cash poor and bleeding. Enter Harry Sonneborn. An orphan raised in New York, he was a former VP of Finance at Tasty Freeze, a direct competitor. In 1959, he walked into Kroc's office and pitched a radical diagnosis. He wasn't there to fix the burger business. He was there to replace it. Sonneborn's insight was one sentence: "You're not in the burger business, you're in the real estate business." It sounds like a movie line, but it was a cold financial blueprint. Stop selling burgers, start buying land. The mechanism was elegantly simple. McDonald's would buy the land under every new restaurant. Then, it would lease that land back to the franchisees. Instead of a one-time franchise fee, Kroc would collect rent, a steady, predictable, rising income stream. They created a separate subsidiary to handle this: McDonald's Franchise Realty Corp. This wasn't just an accounting trick. It turned McDonald's from a restaurant operator into a landlord. Sonneborn, the outsider, was made president and CEO to execute it. Let's pause here. This is the key insight. The landlord model didn't just provide cash, it fundamentally changed McDonald's relationship with its franchisees. The franchisee wasn't just a business partner, they were a tenant. And a landlord has ultimate leverage. This leverage was invisible at first. If a franchisee failed to meet quality standards, what could Kroc do? Pull their franchise? A long legal fight. But as a landlord, you simply don't renew the lease. The land is McDonald's permanent anchor. The financial engine ignited. That steady rent income funded more land purchases, which funded more franchises, which funded more land purchases. It was a self-perpetuating cycle that had nothing to do with the price of a Big Mac. By 1961, when Kroc bought the brothers out for that famous $2.7 million, the Sonneborn model was already the company's financial backbone. The brothers weren't selling a burger chain. They were selling their equity in a budding real estate empire. The numbers tell the real story. Today, McDonald's owns roughly 70% of the buildings and 45% of the land its restaurants sit on. That is not a fast food company. That is a massive real estate portfolio. And here is the second-order effect that makes this model indestructible. When you own the land, you control the location. No competitor can build across the street if you already own that corner. The real estate itself becomes a competitive moat, but even the architect had doubts. By 1967, Sonneborn believed a recession was coming. He wanted to stop building. Kroc, the relentless optimist, insisted on relentless expansion. Sonneborn resigned on June 8th. This is the midpoint of our mystery. Sonneborn left, but his model didn't. Kroc took his title, but the real estate strategy was now hardwired into the company's DNA. It would outlive both men. The proof is in the global scale. From one burger stand in 1940 to over 40,000 locations worldwide, a quarter of them in the United States alone. Each one is a small piece of a vast real estate web. How much of McDonald's revenue is actually from rent? Estimates suggest real estate-related income, rent and lease payments, accounts for a substantial 35% of the company's global revenue. The burger is just the front. So let's answer the question from the start. What was that $2.7 million really buying? It wasn't buying the speedy system. It wasn't buying the Big Mac. It was buying control over a structure that would turn every franchisee into a guaranteed rent check. The brothers made their million, but in doing so, they sold away the one asset that had no ceiling: the land. Kroc's true genius wasn't selling burgers, it was listening to Sonneborn and buying the earth beneath them. This lesson transcends fast food. The most valuable business isn't always the one selling the most visible product. Sometimes it's the one owning the essential, invisible layer underneath. The infrastructure, the platform, the land. Consider the contrast. A franchisee's profit depends on daily sales, weather, and local competition. A landlord's profit depends on a lease. One is a daily gamble, the other is a contractual certainty. Sonneborn chose certainty. This also explains Kroc's ruthlessness in the 1961 buyout. He wasn't just buying a brand. He was securing 100% control over a real estate machine he now understood was the true source of power. The $2.7 million was a down payment on that machine. Sonneborn himself cashed out handsomely, despite his later disputes. He built a 14,000-square-foot estate with a golf course and wildlife preserve. His model had made him, and many others, fantastically wealthy. Not from burgers, from land. The McDonald brothers' original dream was $1 million. They got more, but they missed the bigger game. The $2.7 million check wasn't a victory for them. It was the moment they unknowingly handed over the keys to the kingdom. The real estate model persists today, a ghost of Sonneborn's 1959 pitch. It is, arguably, the most important financial decision in the company's history, not because of what it built, but because of what it made possible. Endless, self-funding growth. So when you drive past those golden arches, you're not looking at a restaurant. You're looking at a landmark. A marker that says, McDonald's was here first. They own this, and that changes everything. The lesson isn't about hamburgers. It's about leverage. Find the critical, non-obvious asset in your industry and own it. Because in business, the person who owns the land always wins.